All right, 3, 2, and 1. Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. We're going to take a detailed look at those snow chances coming up for your New Year's Eve and your New Year's Day here in Denver. I got a bit of a sneak peek for you. I think we're raising those snowfall totals here in the Denver area in terms of what we're going to expect as we head through the next few days. So that is, I suppose, pretty exciting, right? We've only seen 0.3 of an inch of snow officially for us at DI. Unbelievable. I mean, just unreal how little snow we've seen so far this season. But as you can tell by Friday morning, we're starting to see some of that snowfall move its way into the metro area. And let's get this back up here for you. I'm trying to put this into motion. There we go. That snow does start to fly in the mountains. Well, it's basically not going to stop snowing in the mountains until Sunday. It's been unreal what we've seen in the mountains. While here in Denver, we've been completely shut out. Now that pattern starts to change because notice there's that kind of little band of snow that moves its way through Fort Collins in western Nebraska and southeastern Wyoming on Friday morning. That's our next cold front, and that one, as it sags south and moves through, it's going to tap into some moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to get what we call upslope flow, and finally, we're going to see some snow heavy at times for us along the I-25 urban corridor, I-76, I-70, I-25, all getting in on the action. And that could mean snow heavy at times as we ring in the new year and round out 2021. So there's a look at that. So it doesn't really probably stop snowing until late morning on your New Year's Day on Saturday. Close look in here. So that snow probably starts to develop somewhere around noon on Friday. Now the question will be on Friday specifically, how cold are those temperatures? Is it cold enough to support snow? We'll get a front that moves its way on through. We do know that at some point, probably late Friday afternoon and after dark on Friday, that we will be looking at temperatures cold enough for snow. The question to me right now is, are those temperatures going to be cold enough around midday, early afternoon on Friday? I actually think they will be. And if, emphasis on if, those temperatures are cold enough, if we're, say, around 30 degrees around midday on Friday, well, then we could really be talking about maybe closer to 5, 6 inches worth of snowfall as opposed to just 2 or 3. If it's just the evening snowfall on Friday, then we're probably, again, looking at 2 or 3 inches in town. But if we do end up with those colder temperatures during the day on Friday, then we're probably looking at those snowfall totals on the order of maybe 4, 5, 6 inches. I'll have more details on those totals here in just a second because I know that's what you're all excited about here at this point. So we do get pretty decent upslope. I would say at this point, it's pretty safe to say that our friends in Boulder, Evergreen, Arvada, Golden, we're probably going to end up with a good 4 or 5 inches or so on from the storm system. So those western areas, on the western part of the metro area, is going to be more favored out of this snowstorm, as tends to be the case with an upslope type of snowfall event like this one. Again, I do think that the western side of the metro area will be favored or a bit more favored on this. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That snow does continue through your New Year's Day, gradually winds down through the day on your Saturday. It's going to be very, very cold. That's another thing to not necessarily overlook with this storm system, is that it does look like it's going to be very, very cold on New Year's Eve and on New Year's Day. I'll tell you what here, folks. I would not want to be outside on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And I know with the pandemic, with Omicron and the new variant, that a lot of us right now not willing to do indoor things, maybe looking to the outdoors. I'm just telling you, it's going to be nasty on Friday night. It's going to be very, very cold for your New Year's night. Temperatures probably in the teens, if not dropping down into the single digits by the end of the night. So, folks, yeah, just make sure if you're going to be outside that you limit it. All right, here is one computer forecast model's estimate. This is one. So take this with a grain of salt. This is one estimate. This is not our forecast. I'll show you our forecast here in just a second. This is the GFS computer forecast model, which does go pretty high here. It goes with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches, even getting closer to 8, 9 in the foothills. I think this is a little overdone, but I will say that the computer models pretty clearly upticked overnight, and they're starting to latch on to a higher end solution with the snowstorm. Yesterday, I'll kind of transparently say that last night we were showing closer to about 1 to 4 inches here in the Denver area. I think we're going to raise those snowfall totals, and I'll show you what we've raised them to here in just a second. Here's the European computer forecast models solution, which goes a little bit more moderate. It goes, don't have the numbers up there. They don't appear to be populated right now, but the numbers, generally speaking, about kind of 2 to 4, 2 to 5 inches, with maybe 3 to 6 on the west side of town, maybe a few isolated 7 or 8 inch snowfall totals. So the European model, a little bit lower. Now, what's interesting about this is the GFS model, the one that I just showed you. This is the one with the higher end snowfall totals. This is the one that's actually been less bullish on higher snowfall totals. So generally speaking, this is the model that has gone with lower snowfall totals so far this season. And as you know, with only 0.3 of an inch of snowfall this season, this is the model that's generally been right. But now this one appears to be going higher on it. So kind of an interesting flip-flop, an interesting situation. I will say that if we get those temperatures cold enough, again, if around midday on Friday we're talking about temperatures around 30 degrees, that to me is the key as to whether or not we're talking about 2, 3, 4 inches versus 5, 6, 7 inches here in town. And also, of course, some localized banding that will certainly be in play. All right, with that in mind, all that babbling, here's what I think we're looking at. And we may have to raise this. I'm just going to be transparent. If we're going to go in any direction, I would guess we're going to go higher. But we did bump those totals. I mentioned last night on 10 o'clock news, I only had 1 to 3 in town last night because just didn't look like we had enough moisture. But I'm raising them to 2 to 5 inches for us here in town. I was just texting my colleague, meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen, about this, and we're both in agreement that those totals, we're going to bring those up a little bit for the here and now. The western side of the metro area, the foothills, Boulder, Golden, Evergreen, Conifer, 3 to 6 inches. I'm telling you, a couple folks in here will probably end up with 7, 8, and maybe even along the Palmer Divide as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a few 7, 8 inch snowfall totals out of this in around the metro area. And then you get east of town, a little north and east of town, and you're looking at probably 1 to 3. Fort Collins, it looks like the banding, the best banding will set up over Denver, so maybe a tick less for our friends a bit further north into Fort Collins, maybe about 2 to 4. Again, a localized 2 to 5, 6 inch total can't be ruled out for our friends a bit further north, but it looks like at this point, the west side of the Denver area will do the best at this snowstorm. And I mean, I wouldn't really call it a snowstorm, but enough certainly to make some impacts. In fact, I'm going to probably bump this up to snow shovels. We're probably getting to the territory now where we're probably going to be using snow shovels for the snow system. So there you go. It's the first time we've had actual meaningful snowfall here in Denver, which is frankly slightly pathetic, but considering how, and I'll have the graphics back up for you here in just a second, but it does appear that we will be looking at the possibility for some pretty significant snow here as we get into your Friday night and into your Saturday. And again, sorry about that. We're getting those graphics back up for you. Here we go. Again, it's no big deal for us, but again, I think we're going to be looking at snow shovels. And then we get this little taste of winter. It's going to last exactly about a day and a half. And then we go right back to your regularly scheduled temperatures above average and lots of sunshine. So that snow that we do get will last about a day or two because of that warm sunshine that we get as we start 2022. But you know what? I know a lot of you are wanting snow here in Denver. Hey, the mountains, we're getting absolutely pounded, but it does look like for the first time this season, we're going to be looking at a meaningful snow here in Denver, a something, a not 60 degrees and sunshine. So, hey, we'll take it where we can get it at this point. And overall, this pattern does appear to be a bit more conducive to bigger snows. And another point also as well is that December, January, and especially January, does not tend to be a big snowfall month in Denver. I know it's the heart of winter, it tends to be cold, but we tend to get more mountain snowfall during the month of January. In Denver, as many of you probably know, March, April, late February lately, we've seen quite a few February snowstorms of late, but February, March, and April tend to be our bigger months for snow. So we're getting something here as we get into the start of 2022. Again, this is not going to be a blizzard, this is not going to cripple Denver for days on end or anything like that, but it will be a meaningful snow, and you will have to use those snow shovels, I think, for the first time this season. And I think we should raise those totals here in Denver from our paltry 0.3 inches of total season-to-date snowfall. I think we're going to boost that a little bit here as we head through the next few days. So I think most of us pretty happy about that. If you're not a winter lover, well, next week we're back into the 50s. So couple things for, I suppose, everybody to celebrate as we get through the end of the year and into the start of the next one. Hey, thanks for taking a detailed look at that forecast for Friday night into your Saturday morning, for your New Year's Eve into your New Year's Day. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi in the 9 News Weather Center, and also have more details on that forecast coming up on 9 News at noon.
Chris, could you put back on that forecast, the forecast?
Sure.
I got to roll it up there.